Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Felix here. Now I'm just dropping a very simple video today, short and sweet, and I'm just discussing some of the mistakes that you guys can avoid. These are all mistakes that I've experienced personally with Shopify, and I'm letting you guys know now so that you can save yourself some trouble later on down the line. So I'm going to start with the very first one, and that's changing your currency. Now, when you switch your currency from one to another, and then if you switch it back, Shopify doesn't actually convert the value of that currency. So I switched my store from New Zealand dollars, which was originally what I was accepting, to US dollars, and then back to New Zealand dollars. It's a long story, but the reasons why was, there was a number of reasons. But anyway, what happened was during that period where I was receiving money in US dollars, which was roughly 4 months, it was showing in my sales revenue as a dollar to dollar match, but in reality it was 40% more of what I was earning overall, because the New Zealand dollar is 40% more. So it reflected my sales as over that period as 40,000, when really in reality it was a little bit more than that. It was about $56,000 to $60,000. But Shopify doesn't do that currency conversion for you. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This can really become an issue if you are trying to track your sales throughout the year, and if at a later date you are trying to convert those currencies, because as you know, currencies are always changing. Therefore, you can have these discrepancies. And if you're doing large numbers, if you're doing $100,000 a month, then this can be quite significant. You can be talking several $1,000s in sales differences. So that's something to bear in mind if you're going to change your currencies, is that Shopify won't convert the currency for you, or the value of that currency. Now the next step is, or the next mistake is conflicting apps. So if you're using a lot of apps on your Shopify store, you really want to make sure prior to installing any of these apps that they might have any conflicts or issues with any other apps you have on your store. So most apps on the Shopify store, they have a warning, this app does not work with this other app. Now one example I found was with One-Click Upsell. Now if you don't know, One-Click Upsell is it's a post-sales upsell app. I had that set up and running on my store for a long time, and then I decided to introduce ultimate special offers. Now this is another separate app which allows you to create a variety of different offers. So that can be buy one get one free, that can be buy two get one 50% off. You can do pretty much any offer you can think of, you can do it through this app. Now the problem is that if you have One-Click Upsell operating, then ultimate special offers will not work at all. So you really got to, there are ways around it. With that particular example, there are ways around it, based off the tags you're using for the products. I won't go too much into depth about it, but it is definitely one thing to keep in mind. If you do have any issues, the best thing you can do is actually contact the customer support of the app provider prior to installing the app on your store, and they will let you know if there's any conflict issues, or any discrepancies that might occur with your app. So I do know that most apps that involve taking over your checkout, apps that automatically create discounts in your checkout or automatically create special prices, they can have conflicting issues. Other apps, such as the currency converter apps, and I've seen that some of them might have some conflicting issues with other apps. So these are just a few examples. Now the third one, this is pretty obvious, but again, this is something that you do need to keep in mind. It's very simple to figure out. So the size of your images, really, that's the main thing that's going to slow down your site speed. Now, you need to be quite conservative with the size of your images. You need to do a bit of due diligence if you know how to use Photoshop. Otherwise, look for a software that can bulk reduce the size of all your images without affecting the quality, and then upload that to your store after. Okay, now the next one is social profiles. Okay, so you got your social profiles on your page. This is very simple as well. the worst thing you can do is have those social profiles open up in the same tab. Because essentially what happens is that visitor leaves your site as soon as they click on your Facebook or your Instagram. Have them open in a separate tab. Because what happens is that visitor leaves your site, they are now on Facebook, now on Instagram. They got to take one more step to go back, which means you're basically relying on the decision making of the individual to go back to your website. So you've done all this work to get them onto your site. Don't distract them elsewhere. So don't have external links opening in the same tab. Matter of fact, you should keep your external links limited. Keep it to only your social profiles, and that's it. Now, the fifth and final is that some apps don't work well on mobile. Okay, so a lot of apps do say they are mobile friendly, but when it comes down to the actual the landscape of your website on a mobile, some apps are just not good to have there because they get in the way. Now, one of them is the sales pop. Now, sales pop is where you have the little notification come up at the bottom, usually on the left or right hand side, and it says something along the lines of blah blah from Michigan just bought this rat trap, something like that. And it's a social proof app. Now, in the settings, you can have that app only running on desktop, and I advise you do, because on mobile it actually takes up a bit of space. It also slows down the speed of your website on mobile. And that's reiterating back to mobile or to site speed. It's more important on mobile than it is on desktop because people have less patience on mobile. Okay, so that summarizes my 5 mistakes to avoid. It's relatively simple. I'm sure some of you came across them before. As long as you keep them in mind, as long as you're aware of them, you should be able to avoid these issues in the future. Okay, dokie. So that's me, over and out. Peace.